Good evening from InvestSharp. This is Randy Smotone with your Friday, March the 12th market update. So on the economic front, the monthly retail sales beat expectations, coming in up 0.3% and up 0.8% ex autos. Consumer sentiment was a little weaker than expected, coming in at 72.5. Consensus was 474. So on deck for next Monday, we have the Treasury International Capital data. We'll get the industrial production data and the housing market index data. But the main thing is need to be careful about, as far as going out and jumping into a whole bunch of longs Monday is because Tuesday is the FOMC meeting announcement where, they'll talk about their rate decision on short-term rates, the Fed funds target rate, and we'll kind of get an idea if they're more concerned about possibly having to raise rates sometime during the year. And so, maybe maybe it's an impact to the market, maybe it's not. It just depends on what the verbiage is, and if it sounds like they might think they need to raise rates at some point during the year. So you might get an opportunity to buy something cheaper. So don't get too trigger happy on Monday. So let's go. Let's see. The dollar, gold, silver, and oil were all down today. Copper was mostly flat. So let's take a look at the dollar via the UUP ETF. MACD still going down here. So, the dollar hasn't been just real strong. And highlight there. There it is. So, but we are at this around this uptrend line support. In fact, I think the 50-day. See here. Yep, the 50-day is right here as well. So we'll watch that. I don't know how much further down the dollar will go. It can continue to fall, but I did have quite a bit of volume coming in. So there's a little bit of selling here, and a little bit of selling here on the dollar. Let's go take a look at the point and figure chart on West Texas Intermediate crude. Of course, we haven't really gone anywhere. So we're still staying around this area. I told you, we have this double top resistance. It's not necessarily a double top, but we haven't overcome it yet. So so it has this resistance, and so we're still staying right around there. Let's go look at the Dow. So the Dow closed up 12 points today to 10,624. S&P closed flat at 1,150. The Nasdaq closed down 1 point to 2367, and the Russell closed down 1 point to 676. So basically, the Nasdaq, Russell, and S&P were all flat on the day. The Dow was the largest percent gainer because it was up 0.12%, and the rest of them were just basically all flat. So volume across the indices was it was a little light, but it wasn't like too terrible. So we've been watching the Dow here. The MACD is kind of flattened out. It seems like here lately, it's like we move in these movements. We consolidate and move. We consolidated here, moved up a little bit, consolidated here, moved a little bit, consolidated here. So I don't know if that means we're going to move up a little bit here again, or if we're going to come back down and retest this area. But the MACD is looking okay. S&P, I like the S&P actually. On the MACD looks better on the S&P. I like how it's up here. It's actually higher than it was during, on the way up. So the MACD was actually falling as we were going up. Of course, we had this fall, and then now this is higher than here, which was this area. So that I like that. I still think we might get a little pullback to this area next week, and maybe that's on the back of the Fed. I don't, that'll remain to be seen. I can't really tell. Let me look at a different picture here. There's just nothing just jumping out. If you notice through beginning back here and this is looking at an exponential moving average of 520 and the RSI. Once we crossed February the 25th, we have stayed above this 20-day exponential moving average. We've closed above it this whole time. So and we're still above it, but the MACD is kind of getting, let's move this up here. The MACD, it's kind of wishy-washy. There's no just clear sign here. It's kind of flattened out, but, and this is, not necessarily make higher highs on the MACD, but I mean, it's looking all right. It's just kind of flat lined here. We just aren't really moving much of anywhere, so I really can't tell. RSI though is actually weaker. As long as the RSI stays, above 50, because typically if it drops below 50, we get, we get below 50, we get these down, where we come down. So I still think we might come back into this range. I definitely think it's possible. Maybe down to maybe it's down to either the 1,130-ish here, maybe clear back down to here. I mean, I don't know. I still think, or typically the middle of this, a large candle like this, which would put us about 1,135-ish or so, we'll call it. That might be one of the plays. I don't think we're going to just take off and fly through this just yet. So let's look at gold. Gold is it's not really doing much of anything either. It's the MACD's got curled down here and here. It's kind of weak. It's dropped below the 30-day moving average, but it's not real heavy selling or anything. It's it's kind of just on a slow drift lower, but it's still higher than it's a higher low so far than here from the the February 25th low. Silver is another one. It had some selling here, but it's still holding above the 1650, still hanging in there. Copper is still holding up real well. It's more looks like a bull flag at this point. It's not really going anywhere. Look XLF. They did some selling today on the financials. That's what this candle here, but the MACD looks good to me for some higher prices possibly. We may just have a pullback here, but if you look, BAC pulled back, but it did hold its uptrend line here, but it did pull back today. JP Morgan, not sure what it did. JP Morgan helped the best actually. It's still hanging really tough right here. It's near a breakout above this downtrend line. It's in a triangle type pattern. And then Citi, of course, Citi's to me very speculative, more speculative over time. It'll probably be up here, but they sold it pretty hard today. They're concerned about government, selling and stuff. So, and Citi I don't know how low it'll go, but it may fill this gap right here. It's got a gap here, come down to about $3.86 or so, and it could go lower than that, but I wouldn't be surprised. It has a little bit of a gap there to fill, and it may fill that. So let's look at the McClellan. So the more we kind of just grind around and don't go anywhere, McClellan will continue to fall. So we're now at 51. So we're continue to slowly come off this overbought. I mean, we're still overbought, but we're still coming way off this high from up here. Let's go look at the sectors. 14 to 16 sectors to follow finished in the green today. Oil service index had the largest percent gain, up 0.71%. The bank index was the weakest today, down 0.9%. So let's go look at a couple other point and figures here. Look at gold. I don't know if we can see much from these. Gold point and figure chart still has a bullish price objective of 1,300 an ounce. So we will go on a sell signal on gold if we print 1,080. But we do have also at the same, right around that near that area, we have this uptrend line of support. So I don't see gold falling apart yet. I think gold still looks fine. Silver's been on a sell signal ever since this big sell-off, but it's been hanging tough up in here ever since. It's got some overhead resistance here of the downtrend line. And then copper also on a buy signal with the price objective of 444, which is $4.44. And it's right here. It would go on a sell signal. We'd have to get down to the 328 mark. We have, one box below the prior column, of O's. So, and let's see what else. So of course, no chart watch on Fridays. Never do have those on Fridays. I will post my weekly watch list on Sunday evening. Let's look at the current market signals. So we follow the point and figure chart for the Dow, Nasdaq, S&P, all three on buy signals, and there's really no changes to those today. We didn't do anything today. We just chopped around sideways, waiting for, I guess, next Tuesday or whatever we're waiting for. So we're just waiting on something. All right, so that is it for today. Have a great weekend, and thanks for watching the InvestSharp's Daily Market Analysis.